Make certain your lesson is set on full screen. Also, you will need to press pause when an instruction is given. Today's prompt says, we all enjoy spending time with friends. Before you begin writing, think about a time something exciting happened with a friend. Now tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. Now tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. Now tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. What type of writing is this? You don't see explain or inform. You see tell a story. This is a narrative prompt. You will need a narrative plan. If writing your own plan, write 1, leave a space, 2, 3, 4. Next to 1, you have W for weather, W for where. Underneath, D for what you're doing. Next to number 2, P for prompt. 3, C for climax. 4, E for ending, and then your bottom C for closer. The prompt wants you to tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. It's not telling you where you are. So the first thing I want you to think about is where you and your friend are, and then come up with something exciting that can happen there. In your Write Bright packet, there's a tool called Narrative Settings. And whenever the prompt doesn't tell you where you are, this tool can be very helpful for helping you come up with ideas. Maybe you were at the zoo, the circus, the lake, the fair, an amusement park, school, church, forest, mansion, playground, house, city, cave, apartment, swimming pool, island, beach, ocean. There's lots of different places that you can be. And then what you do is you think of something exciting that can happen in one of these places. Maybe you were on a bouncy house and it collapsed on you and your friend. Maybe you and your friend were at the beach and you found some kind of a treasure, or maybe you got to take a ride on someone's boat. Maybe if you were in the woods, you found a cabin that was deserted and you went inside to explore it. Maybe if you were on a farm, you got to ride a horse or do something exciting with the animals. Maybe if you were at the circus, you got called into the ring and you got to walk on the tightrope or swing on the trapeze or throw a pie in a clown's face. Come up with something exciting. First, you need to think about where you're going to be. Let's take a look at some brainstorming ideas. The two things you need to think about is, first of all, where you were, which we talked about in narrative settings, and then what happened there. Maybe you were at the beach and you found something. You were at the mall and you won a shopping spree. Maybe you were the 100th customer to walk in the store. You were at the lake and you got chased by an alligator. You were at the park and you found a kitten. You were home with your friend and your dad bought you a new four-wheeler and you and your friend got to go riding. You were on a boat and you and your friend touched a manatee. You were at the fair and the two of you got stuck on a ride, or maybe you won some great prize. It's time to fill in your plan. Next to number 1 is weather. Then where? You need to fill in where you are at the very beginning of the story. I'm with my friend in the woods. Where are you going to start your story? Look at your narrative settings sheet. I'll also leave the brainstorming ideas up. Fill in your where now. Then doing. What are you doing at the beginning of the story? Well, look at where you are. If you're at the beach, you're probably swimming. If you're at the mall, you're probably shopping. If you're at the bowling alley, you might be bowling. Look at where you are and tell what you're doing at the beginning of the story before any kind of adventure happens with your friend. Your friend might be coming over. You might be meeting at the mall or eating in the food court. You might be playing video games. Fill in what you're doing at the beginning of the story before anything exciting happens now. 2 is prompt. This means you look at what the last sentence of the prompt is asking you to write about. The last sentence of this prompt says, now tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. In paragraphs 2 and 3, something exciting needs to happen with your friend. I'd like you to fill in both 2 and 3 at the same time. I've written that we found a hurt baby deer in paragraph 2, and then in paragraph 3, we're going to take it to the Wildlife Rescue Center. Maybe your 2 is that you found something at the beach, like a jet ski, and then your 3 is that you wrote it. If your 2 is that you won a shopping spree, your 3 would be where you and your friend got to shop. If your 2 is that you're being chased by an alligator, your 3 might be that you and your friend threw rocks at the gator, or how you escaped. If your 2 is that you found a kitten with your friend, Your 3 would be that maybe you took it to the pet store and you bought it all kinds of toys and cute little outfits and food and a dish. If your 2 is that your dad bought you a four-wheeler, your 3 is when you and your friend ride the four-wheeler. Your 2 is that you touched a manatee. Your 3 might be that it ate from you and your friend's hands. If your 2 is that you're stuck on a ride, your 3 might be that you and your friend had to climb down. Fill in both your 2 and your 3 now. 4 is your ending. Whatever exciting happened with you and your friend has now come to an end. We ended by letting the deer go. Did you say goodbye, go home, go out for ice cream? Maybe your friend invited you to a sleepover. Please fill in your ending now. Then your closer. Remember that you use the last sentence of the prompt to complete the closer. Under the Assessments tab, there is a test and a study guide called Narrative Closers. Once you pass the Narrative Closer test, then if you'd like, you can just leave a C on your paper instead of writing out your entire closer on your plan and then rewriting the same closer on your essay. Right now, you're writing that sentence twice when it's not necessary. Once you can pass your closer test with 100% found under the Assessments tab, then you can simply leave C for closer on your plan. That way you only have to write it on your actual essay. The last sentence of the prompt says, now tell a story about a time something exciting happened with a friend. I've written, you just never know when something exciting might happen with a friend. You might write, who would have guessed something exciting would happen with a friend? It's difficult to predict when something exciting might happen with a friend. I could never have dreamed something exciting would happen with a friend. Fill in your closer now. Your plan is complete. It's time to start writing your essay. On your paper, you'll need to indent, start with a capital letter, and what's a good way to begin your essay? Describing the day or the weather. It was a lovely day as the green trees blew gently in the light breeze. On your paper, please write a sentence describing the day or the weather now. Next on your plan is where. I would say, I was in the woods. You need to write a sentence in the past tense telling where you were at the beginning of your story now. You may now put your pencil down. In my story, I'm riding a buggy down a trail. We find a hurt baby deer, take it to the Wildlife Rescue Center, and then let it go. Here's what I've written. The flowers were just beginning to bloom, and animals were scurrying about the earth as my friend Tina and I decided to take a ride into the woods. Tina had spent the day playing at my house, and my mom had given us permission to take our buggy for a ride on the trail through the woods. There were 40 acres of thick woods behind my house. My dad spent so much time in the woods that there were many trails to choose. As we rode through the woods, we tried to be quiet so we didn't scare off the animals. Tina was hoping we would see wild turkeys and hogs. I drove the buggy to one of my dad's corn feeders because this is where a lot of the animals would come looking for food. When we reached the feeder, there was a family of raccoons feasting on corn. We sat and watched them for a while and then turned the buggy around to go home. All of a sudden, we heard a strange noise. It sounded like an animal was hurt in the bushes. Tina and I scared away the raccoon family and began searching the bushes. We quickly spotted a baby deer that could not get up. It looked like his leg was broken. We knew it needed our help, so we grabbed a towel from the buggy to wrap around the deer. Then we lifted it into the back. Tina sat with the deer as I drove home. When we arrived, I called my mom outside and she helped us get the deer into our car. We took it to the Wildlife Center where they help herd animals and they began working on its leg. Tina and I were glad that the deer was going to be all right. 3 weeks later, we went to check on the deer. Its leg was healed and it was running around in a pen. After playing and loving on the deer, the Wildlife Center said we could send it back into the wild. Tina and I happily opened the pen and the deer ran off into the woods. It was a beautiful sight. Then your very last sentence, you write your conclusion closer. You just never know when something exciting might happen with a friend. My essay is complete. Now it's your turn. You're setting the scene of the story. Where are you and your friend? If you're at the beach, if you're at the mall, if you're at the circus, if you're at the fair, Where are you? What does it look like? What is your friend's name? What do you hear? What do you smell? You're trying to set the scene. Then paragraph 2 and 3, something exciting is gonna happen with you and your friend in that place. And then you'll end your story. Do a wonderful job.